Welcome back to Lost Legacies. I'm Matt,
And I'm Sam.
and today we are talking about episode 17 in translation. After Jin is blamed for burning Michael's raft, Sun must decide whether or not to help her husband, because doing so would reveal her betrayal.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, man, this one was good. I feel like I say that every week. This was a really good episode, though. Like this was probably the first one this season where I really got like emotional.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because we've had some emotional stuff, but this one, like, I just really felt it. And I don't know what it was. Like, we've been waiting for this one though. Because this whole season, we're saying, okay, we want to know more about Sun and Jin because they're mostly sidelined through this season. We get to know Sun, we see things from her perspective. And ever since her episode, we're like, okay, we want to see it from Jin's perspective. Well, today we did. Everything. I don't know, just something about Jin's story just got me really it just hit me, punched me in the gut, you know? I think what this episode was really about was fathers. Which if you
Isn't
think of
that just the theme of season 1 of
right,
Lost?
right, like almost
Fathers?
fathers or mothers, it's just parents. Like we mentioned this
Mhm.
months ago, but I think Lost is just therapy for the writers.
Hey, maybe.
You know, because like every single character has uh parent issues. I'm trying to think of someone who doesn't. Saeed, we don't know anything about his parents.
Hurley, we don't know anything about his parents.
Right, but he hasn't had an episode yet. So we
Oh,
gotta wait and
yeah.
see.
Yeah, that's
Charlie
true.
doesn't. He has brother problems.
Hmm. Like Shannon and Boone, we see their mom for like half a second.
Well, Shannon has big time problems with her stepmom.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that.
Michael doesn't, but Michael is the troubled parent.
Yep. Yep.
Kate has mentioned her dad in the past and things seem good. So I don't know. Well, where do we want to start? What do you want to talk about? How'd you feel about this episode?
I thought this episode was damn good. We've already gotten to a point where the writers know who these characters are, or at least where they want to go with their story. And they have a handle on like, okay, we're going to build the character this way, or we're going to show this side of them, or this is the thing that we're going to use this character to explore this week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you said, this week we get to see Jin. We get to see what kind of person he is, what kind of man he is, because we've always had that sense that he's never not loved his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Even in our episode about Sun, we were saying that no, like he does care. It's just that there's something else that's preventing him from fully expressing it, or that got lost somewhere. But he
In
100
translation.
in translation, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it
Mm-hmm.
that.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
It all makes sense now. All right, that's the episode. Bye, guys.
We solved Lost.
We solved Lost. That's all you need to know. So yeah, it's just this time we get to see who Jin is as a person, and he's a person who, I mean, he's not overtly complicated, at least from what we see. It's just that he loves his wife. He wants to do right by her. He wants to do right by his father-in-law. If anything, father-in-law is the bad guy in this whole situation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like Sun's problem, Sun does have daddy issues, but she doesn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Because all her issues stem from Jin, but it's really her father who's the one pulling the strings. Jin has he's guilty too. He's not innocent in this, but
Oh,
a lot of
sure.
those problems stem from Sun's dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They come from him. He essentially has both of their lives under his control. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Jin is constantly working and never gets to see Sun. So, I feel like in a way that's sort of like Sun's father being like, Oh, like yeah, I'll let you marry my daughter, but you're never gonna get to be with my daughter. You
Mhm.
know, like you're mine. Like you answer to me. Like he promotes him and makes him his personal assistant, and it's like we know that like, oh yeah, like that should be a good thing, right? But then it's so much more dirty and it's sleazy, and it's just like it's this criminal thing that he's having Jin do and commit, and you're just like,
Mhm.
well, crap. And Jin's doing it because he doesn't want to lose Sun, but it's exactly like you said. He's not exactly innocent either, and it's a complicated situation, and it just sucks all around.
And it's so heartbreaking because the audience realizes it, but Jin doesn't, but he's an enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't realize it until he gets in trouble for not enforcing. It's like, oh damn.
Mm-hmm.
And then so what happens? They send the guy with a gun to go kill that guy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like Jin never really had the opportunity to walk away, to back out. Because he didn't realize how deep he was until a guy with a gun shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he's like, I can't walk away. I got to do it myself, you know? And he ends up saving that guy. He beats the crap out of him so the other guy doesn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get the puppy.
I know.
That's, oh man. Yeah.
I hope that puppy is okay.
I think he went with the lady, right? In Sun's episode, when she's planning to kidnap herself, she tells
Oh
the
yeah.
lady helping her to uh take care of the dog.
Oh, okay.
Now I
Yeah.
assume the dog's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, dog's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm worried. You know how worried I get.
Yeah, let's talk about who's what's really important in this episode. It's the dog.
Yeah, Vincent.
No, but uh throughout the whole episode, Jen keeps bringing up the fact that his dad's dead. And it's not till
Hmm.
like later on, almost the third act, where we realize no, dad's still alive. He goes to visit him and he's just this lowly fisherman. And he even tells him, he's like, forgive me. He's like, I was, what do you say, ashamed of you?
Yeah, I was ashamed of you.
And the dad, he's like the one good dad we've seen so far in the show. He just hugs him and they start working together and he's giving him really, really good advice. He's like, you
Hmm.
got to put your wife first. And that's when we find out this trip that Jin and Sun were taking to Sydney, Australia, and Los Angeles, California. Sun is planning on kidnapping herself to escape from Jin. Jin is planning for them to like run away basically to
Hmm.
California.
Hmm.
Neither of them knew. And it's that's what makes it so much it hurts so much more.
I know.
And then the way this episode ends, which we'll talk about later, it
Hmm.
just kind of like twists the dagger in your back. It was just damn good television. And
Hmm.
we talked about it in Sun's episode as well. I like how Lost is able to give you something different each week, a different type of story. In a lot of ways, so far that we've seen, like the episode has a theme. This one was definitely daddy issues, amongst other stuff. But it's really nice to see that, like, okay, even though it's the show was entirely filmed in Hawaii, we got to spend this whole episode in Korea.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is really fun.
So let's get to some of the more meatier pieces of the episode. The boat got caught on fire.
Mhm.
That was a weird way to say that. Let me say somebody set the boat on fire.
Yeah. The boat
Oh
got
man,
caught on fire.
the boat got caught on fire. Wow,
Gotcha.
man, it's the Texan in me, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Oh geez. Um. Anyway, yeah. All right. Somebody set the boat on fire. Okay. Uh. Uh. This is gonna derail us for like 20 minutes. So this episode starts where Sun is going into the ocean She's wearing a bikini. And Jin sees her and starts getting after her, and we don't know what they're saying because they're speaking in Korean. But everybody's just on the beach and they're like, well, yep, there they go again, they're just fighting. And then Michael is the one that comes up and puts himself between Sun and Jin, and then Sun slaps him.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, whoa, okay. So automatically, right here, it's like, okay, like this is going to be a problem, and yeah, it becomes a problem for everyone because Jin, I think for a while, Jin has suspected that something was off. One within his own marriage, but he's had it out for Michael for a long time. Michael's not wrong in that when he's like, ever since day one, ever since he laid his eyes on me, it's like, yeah, he's something about Michael has just set Jin off. But now, especially as we've spent more time on this island, now we see that Jin does have reason to suspect that something's going on between Michael and Sun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the thing that he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that Michael knows the Sun speaks English.
Right.
Him and Kate are the only ones who know that.
I will pause you for a second though, because although what you said is right, the writers have really gone out of their way to tease something between Michael and Sun. And they haven't stated it. They haven't spoken about it or whatever, but it's just the looks.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't giving each other looks of, I know you speak English and no one else does. No. They're giving each other looks of like,
speak English to me.
Of like, sure, we'll stay in the caves. Wink, wink. We know that nothing has happened, but as an audience, we also know maybe this could develop. And it's very obvious. So if that's what we know, what does Jin know? All he probably sees these same looks too.
Yeah.
They made it almost impossible for Jin to not assume something was going on with those two.
Right.
In Jin's defense, still, he makes some pretty bad choices in his marriage and just on the island. But in this case, it's like, yeah, okay, I understand in this particular case.
Yeah, absolutely. But now there's this big rift between Sun and Jin that is just out there. He is blatantly saying that like there's something going on. It has to do with Michael.
Well, let me ask you something, because that opening scene, he starts getting very physical with her, and everyone else is just kind of watching and just like, oh my God, what the hell? Michael's the only one who goes and tries to break it up, like you said. What would you do in that situation?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
It's easy to say, look, don't get in between. They're married. This is their issue. Don't get in between it. But at the same time, you're like, well, what if he hurts her? Is he trying to hurt her? I don't know.
Yeah.
I, myself, Sam, am not married. You are. So I'm looking for some wisdom here.
Okay.
What would Sam do?
Oh, okay, but your question is if I were in this situation where I was on the island, I saw Sun and Jin arguing, and he's getting physical with his wife.
Yeah, do you get it? Do you get involved or not?
I mean, like it's very easy to say that, oh yeah, absolutely. I would run over there, I would get in between, just like Michael did. I would do this. It's very easy to say that, but I don't know. The answer is just a little more complex because it's like, you're absolutely right. Like, what do we know about their marriage? We know a lot because we're the audience. But if we're there on the island, like I don't know these people. I don't know these people. I don't know their background. I don't know anything about them. Just the fact that they're married and they fight a lot. In this situation, yeah, I don't know, because I would like to think that I would at least say something, speak up, and be like, hey, like stop treating your wife like that or something. But
Mhm.
like, I, I don't know. What would you do?
No. I mean, I think that's a situation which, maybe it would have been better if, like, as a group, they like approached them instead of just one guy, especially of all guys, Michael.
Hmm.
If Hurley or someone else came, Jin would just be pissed. But the fact that it was Michael, it's like, oh, dude, you're cruising to get punched in the face. And
Yeah,
Sun's the one who did it.
it's this, it's a weird, it's a weird, I don't know, societal convention, I guess, that
Mhm.
you don't get involved in other people's marriages. You don't get involved in other
Right.
people's affairs. Like, and sure, that's that should be a given. But I feel like there needs to be this breakaway when something like that is happening. And like obviously Michael handles it in the wrong way because he runs up and is doing all that. And it's like if somebody like Kate or Hurley or Jack or Saeed had come up, they would have approached it in a different way. They would have been, a little more calm, a little more open to being like, hey, no, like, let's not do that. Um, so thing to be said about, like gut reactions and all that.
Mhm.
Responding with your heart instead of your head.
I think it also has a lot to do with Jin. Because I think if Kate would have been the one, that probably would have, I don't know if it would have diffused it, but it would have just split, it would have stopped it right there.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe Hurley. Because it's hard to be mad at Hurley. But anyone else, like Jin probably still would have been upset. I think he would have punched anyone, any guy, he would have punched. And
Probably.
that's why Sun slaps Michael. And she even tells him later it's to protect you from Jin. So,
Yeah.
Sam, your answer was correct. It's complicated. And that's why
Yeah.
you listen to Lost Legacies, because we talk about the complicated issues.
Oh my gosh.
I'm interested though. I wanna hear. No one has reached out to Lost Legacy, Sam. I'm just saying. But if anyone does, hashtag ask Sam and Matt on Twitter. We'll answer your questions or mention you on the show. But yeah, I want to hear a woman's take on this, because I mean, it's complicated. It's so easy, like you said, it's so easy to say, yeah, no, if she's gonna get hurt, we gotta stop it. But at the same time, it's just like it's none of our business. Oh my god.
I okay. Because because of the situation. Let
Mhm.
let's let's take this apart a little bit and let's just say this. We're all on this island. We're all stuck here. We don't know if rescue's coming. I think the growing idea that nobody wants to talk about is that, yeah, rescue's never coming.
Yeah.
There's the potential that we're all going to be stuck on this island for the rest of our lives. Everybody's still holding on to, societal convention, the rules of civility. We're still doing that. Sawyer's different, and we'll get to that in a sec, but it's there has to come a point where we as a people say, you know what? We're going to be stuck on this island with these people. I'm not going to put up with that. And somebody has to get up there. Somebody has to get in someone's face and just say, hey, stop being a piece of shit. You
Yeah.
know, like if you guys like, look, we're all on this island. If you don't want to stay married, if you guys are fighting all the time, if you don't want to stay married, then just don't be around each other anymore.
You go to
We're
the
on an
beach, you
island.
go to the caves.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
You see,
yeah,
there's like their situation's a bit more dire because they can't escape each other. They're on this island. Everyone needs each other to survive. If this were to happen in the everyday world, who knows? If this happened at a restaurant, who knows? There's like this fine line that isn't really, you can't really see. At what point do you intervene?
yeah.
If someone's gonna punch her, hell yeah, you stop that. if he's just dragging her like Jin did to Sun, that's where you get more into the gray area. Like, is this a line that's being crossed? Is this something you want to intervene, or is that line just the fact of hurt, pain? Okay, she's getting hurt. Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's complicated, and because it's complicated, is a roundabout way of saying it. That's what essentially sparks this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone burns the raft, and the entire island thinks it's Jin. Because he's always had it out against Michael. Rightly so. We've
Mm-hmm.
established that. But
Mm-hmm.
then after what happened on the beach that morning, definitely like, okay, it's gotta be Jin. And then the fact that they see him later with burned hands, it's like, yep, he's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Which we all know wasn't true.
Yep.
And Locke gives the best just facts, man. He lays down the knowledge. Instead of blaming us, each other, blame whoever's out there. He says, we know we're not the only ones on this island.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, finally, like someone, and this is what's tricky, because this is where Locke's leadership starts coming in,
Mm-hmm.
because he's always been that outsider. From what we've seen of from everyone except for like Jack and Saeed and like the main cast, all the others are like, this Locke fella, he's pretty good. I'm glad he's here. He's trustworthy. Except for like the main core, they're like, I don't know about this guy. But he makes the calls differently than Jack, and he has his eyes like on the bigger picture. When
Mm-hmm.
everyone else is focusing on other things, Locke is the one who's focused on the bigger picture, which is the island. We're
Mm-hmm.
not alone on this island. Nobody's talking about it, but we all know it. And he just walks
Mm-hmm.
off.
So again, day freaking one, I would have been like, okay, we're gonna be here a while. Let's build some shelters. Let's do something. Let's do something productive. Let's take an inventory of who's here and who we all are. Let's do all that stuff like first couple of days. I'm not gonna wait a month or whatever before we look at the flight manifest. But secondly, especially after everything that happened with Claire and Charlie, but yeah, no, I'm not moving anywhere until I know where the other people on this island are. You know, I'm not doing that because we could just be moving closer to them. They could be right next to the caves and we wouldn't freaking know it. They could be in the caves and we wouldn't freaking know it. All of that stuff. And again, everybody's just so angry at each other. They're also, I hate to say it, everybody's so self-centered. They're so focused on themselves as individuals and their own individual happiness or needs or whatever. They're not thinking about the bigger picture, the group, them, these survivors. And of course, John Locke is going to be the one who comes out and says, we're not alone on this island. It's like, yeah, thank you, Locke. I was watching this episode and I was like, I didn't think it was Jin. Even when he had his hand burned, I was like, this isn't like Lost. Lost
Too
isn't just going to
obvious.
give like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. It's too obvious. So I was just like, no, I don't think it's Jin. I really don't think it's Jin. And then Locke has to be the one to come out and say it. I'm like, yeah, what if it's the others? What if it's them? Like we already know that they can get through their defenses. They kidnap people, they're doing all this stuff. It's like they infiltrated the group and nobody knew.
Mhm.
So like, yeah,
Ethan
that's
came
already in
up
my
from the
mind.
water to kill someone.
Yeah, he came up from the freaking wall. They could do anything.
Mhm.
So yeah, everybody's too self-centered. They're too focused on themselves and their own personal goal. They're not thinking about everybody else. They're not thinking about the larger issues. And yeah, so that was my whole thing. I was like, yeah, and we know later on that Locke is essentially just lying to everybody, but he's
Mhm.
trying to steer them away from hating one another so that they can start focusing on the others
Mhm.
again, so they can start focusing their energies as a group. But he's absolutely right. And you're right that this is one of those instances where like nobody has stepped up into a leadership position. Jack is kind of the de facto leader, but time and time again, he doesn't want that responsibility. He
Mhm.
just wants to keep people safe, but he doesn't want to lead. So naturally, another leader is going to have to come out of the woodwork somewhere. It's not going to be Sawyer. It might not be Saeed. It's going to be the guy that has kind of positioned himself in this role, in this very important role. Like he's the guy that goes out to get us food.
Yeah, and it's right now you can see from everyone's perspective how Jack is the leader because he makes the big speeches and his whole goal is to keep everyone safe. Locke, though, it's his hunting skills and survival skills that's really kind of getting people onto his side.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the only one willing to learn about the island. And no
Mm-hmm.
one really knows that yet, except Boone, but slowly getting teased out that like he's more in tune with whatever's going on out there. That could be dangerous to anyone else's attempts at leadership. Although Jack,
Mm.
he probably wouldn't mind unless Locke is doing something he doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
So it turns out Locke is covering for the reveal at the end that Walt was the one who burned the raft.
Mm-hmm.
And, Walt just says he's moved his entire life and he's tired of moving. He likes it here on this island. And that's when Locke reveals too. He's like, you know what? I like it here too. And it's so dark, it's so twisted, but it's like, oh man. And Walt, he just wants a dad. He just wants to be with his dad. And it goes back into the whole themes of fatherhood throughout this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way Michael handles it at the end. He doesn't find out that it's Walt, but he talks to Walt. He's like, look, sometimes there's setbacks and that's just life. And I thought that was Mike being a father. It's like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid episode. One thing we haven't mentioned though was Saeed and Shannon.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I texted you this earlier,
Uh,
but I was behind on a couple of our episodes. So while I was at work, I decided to catch up on those episodes. And yeah, I had completely forgotten that I had talked about uh how there's something not right about the way like Boone and Shannon are arguing with each other. Like there's
mhm,
almost like an intimacy there, like a bad couple.
mhm,
And then I got to the next episode, and it's the one where we find out they sleep together. Yeah. So just listening to that, and then coming into watching this episode puts things into perspective. I get not really puts things into perspective, but I get to see like, oh, okay, yeah. Now having known this, I get to see, okay, I know where Boone is coming from. He wants Shannon all to himself, and if he can't have her, well then no one's gonna be good enough, all that stuff. And Shannon hasn't really had an episode yet, but just from seeing her and seeing her grow, she's responded pretty
mhm.
well to having this positive influence, this positive person in her life, and it happens to be Saeed.
Yeah.
And again, starting the show, I didn't think that was going to be like a pair up that I wanted to see. And now I can't like, I don't know. I don't know. There's something to be said about, like the casting director for casting, very pretty people and putting them in these roles, because I
Mhm,
just can't take my eyes off of them. I
mhm.
I think they're a good couple. I think they're kind of cute. So
I think they are too. And the fact that no one really saw it coming, we're like, this pair surprisingly works well. Um, okay, Sam, but their opening scene, like they're flirting, talking about knots. Because Shannon, she dated some guys with boats, so she knows her knots. So he's
Uh-huh.
impressed, and they make jokes about her being a spinster and all this stuff. And she replies, I had to write it down. Maybe we should get some rope, spend our Saturday night alone together, and see what happens.
Oh my God.
And you kind of just see Saeed's face just like change. I'm like, wait. Is Shannon inviting Saeed to like bondage night?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Hey man, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I was gonna make a joke about Saeed being never mind.
I mean, he's an interrogator, so like that's
He knows how to tie people up.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
but has he been tied up? That's a different question.
That's a different
You
question.
know, you might like it.
Maybe we'll find that out. Oh, well, technically he has because Rousseau had him tied up. So,
Oh man. Okay.
but that's not an enjoyable
Speaking
situation.
of which, let's take a stop here because just a couple of days ago, actress Mira Furlan, who plays Rousseau, passed away.
Oh no.
Yeah, and she had been going through some illnesses and stuff, and I was like, dang man, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
She died at the age of 65. She is
Wow.
famously known from her roles on Lost and Babylon 5.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, only 65.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Oh man. Sorry to jump from bondage to a real person's death and then back into the podcast, but that's life.
That's life. Life is complicated.
Mhm.
It's messy. It doesn't make sense all the time. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're talking about bondage play 1 minute and you have to accept the fact that somebody's not here anymore.
Speaking of things being messy, uh Saeed talks to Boone. Boone's kind of saying, hey, just be careful with my sister. And they kind of break up, even though they're not really together yet.
Mm-hmm.
So Shannon marches off to go confront Boone. She can't find him, so she goes to talk to Locke, which this is going to be good. And she's like, tell Boone this and blah, 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 blah. And Locke just like cuts her off. He's like, should I be writing this down? And then he proceeds to just tell her, like, why does his opinion matter? You're just giving him what he wants, which is your attention. It's like everyone, this island is a new start for everyone, Shannon, a new life. You should start yours. And I was like, oh my God, John Locke just Lindsay Lohan, Shannon's Regina George. And I was like, oh, man, Locke. Hell
John
yeah.
mean girled her. He mean girled
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, okay, cool.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about how John Locke is maybe the worst guidance counselor on the island. But is he really? Because a lot of his advice is actually good advice.
Until it comes to step siblings hooking up, he's the best guidance counselor.
Exactly.
Just start living your life, man.
Exactly. Well, even then, he didn't encourage them. He just wanted, Boone to sort of work stuff out.
No, he actively took steps to split them up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, all right, John Locke. Yeah. Good for you.
So again, possible vote for best guidance counselor on the island?
Possibly. It's starting to balance out. Yeah. And when he was talking to Walt asks him, he's like, did you have a dad? Well, everyone had a dad. Was he cool? And Locke just kind of gets sullen. He's like, nope, he really wasn't. It's like, ooh, more daddy issues.
More dad issues, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm going to take this time just to say that I'm very proud of the fact that we have a good dad.
Yeah, and it was just his birthday. As of recording this, it was like 2 days ago. Which means, Sam, we can never be in these life or death situations because we got no darkness to sort out.
Well, no, we'll be in these life and death situations, but we'll be the guy that gets killed by when Ethan comes up from the water, and like
No, that's true. I would have gone down in the plane crash. Like when it split, I would have been like sucked out.
knowing me, I would have maybe survived the plane crash, but I would have been taken out by a boar. You know, I
Yeah.
would have gotten gutted like Michael did, but like I don't know, just wouldn't have gotten to me in time. And there you go. Well, he has nothing to sort out, so
Hmm.
R.I.P. that guy. I'm gonna have a funeral on an island, and people are gonna bury me with a watch in my D20 dice.
Yeah. I would have been the guy who gets sucked into the plane engine.
Episode 1. Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Oh
10
crap.
minutes in. Matthew, get down. Oh, God.
Yep, that's exactly how it would have gone. Uh
Oh, man.
well, this episode it ends with essentially Sun revealing that she speaks English because it's the only way she can stop the survivors from doing whatever they're going to do with Jin.
Mhm.
Just like Sawyer said, Lord of the Flies time now, and it really was like it was kind of scary. Like I don't know what they were going to do, and Jack's trying to calm everyone down, but everyone won't have it. Charlie doesn't even have the facts. He's just fueling the fire. It's like, oh, jeez, man. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's revealed. Sun saves her husband by revealing her betrayal to him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then they have a good talk at the end. She's like, I just want to start over, go back to the way it was. And we do see, like, I guess, like Jin's final flashback, right? Where he talks to his
Yeah, it's
dad.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he decides, like, okay, we're going to escape. And then it comes back to the island and he's like, it's too late for that now. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God.
Yeah.
And I don't know what
Damn
song that
you.
was, but there's a really good song playing over the end. And we got to see everyone doing their own thing. Charlie and Claire walking on the beach.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about where Jin ends the episode. He ends the episode back on the beach with freshly cut bamboo,
Oh,
looking at
right.
Michael.
Mhm.
Michael's there looking at whatever's left of the burned boat, and he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do. And he sees Jin come up with the axe and some bamboo, and he like looks at him, and Michael doesn't say anything, and Jin just says boat.
Mhm.
Well, okay. And then Jin goes off and Michael follows him, and you're well, okay,
They're
yeah,
working together.
they're
Yeah.
working together now. Like they have there's no animosity there anymore. Jin
Mhm.
knows now, and I think now he's just like, okay, in order to get off this island, I have to work with these people. So let's make something right,
Yeah.
let's build this boat together. And I
Yeah.
thought I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I almost teared up a little bit.
I was the whole argument between Sun and Jin, I was just like on edge, just like, oh man, this sucks so much. And then we get the last scene between Jin and his dad, and which was probably the last time he saw his dad.
Well, yeah, because his dad even said like
Yeah.
go, don't come back.
Come back, go to America. And I was,
Mhm.
oh, the whole scene is just so emotional, man. And then, okay, we see Michael and Jim working together, but then we throw back to the very first scene where we see Sun on the beach again, and she just throws the towel, man, and it just flies off in the wind. Super dramatic. I freaking loved it. She's in her bathing suit. She walks into the ocean, and you just see like her joy and the freedom that's like washing over her. And it's like you're so heartbroken because we really like Sun and Jin. They're really good for each other, or not for each other, but they really love each other. But now we see, okay, now that they're not here together, and you do see her freedom, and you can feel her feeling it just in the performance she's giving.
Mhm.
That was so good, man. Such a good moment. And then you kind of see Hurley, it cuts to Hurley listening to his disc, man, listen to the song, and just craps out. He just dies and he looks at it. Crap. Just takes off his headphones and he just like looks out into the ocean again. And that's where it ends. Like, Which I like it. It was funny because we see one of the first episodes, we get like a contemporary song playing in like a montage at the end, and it's set up that Hurley's listening to it on his Discman.
Mhm.
And we've had that for a couple episodes, but now realistically, yeah, his batteries died. Crap. So no more contemporary music at the end of the episodes.
Yep.
So like, wow, poor Hurley.
And as funny as that was, it undercuts a lot of the badness that was going on in this episode, a lot of the tension and the
Mhm.
drama. It really cuts through that very well. But I also feel like that's a signal for us as the audience that things are hard right now. They're about to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
It's like they are nowhere near out of the woods yet.
Mhm.
We like they're in it now, and knowing I get what this is episode 17.
Right.
Yeah, and there's I don't know, like 24,
25 or something, 24, 25.
25. Yeah, I feel like now we've now I think transitioning into the last act of the season.
Mhm.
And anything about TV, that's when stuff really starts hitting the fans.
Yeah.
And yeah, things are not going to go the way anybody wants them to go.
Right. And I think it's one, the battery's dying. It's like that's one more thing from society that we have lost now.
Hmm.
It's so insignificant. It's just Hurley's batteries, but that's one step further away from civilization that we are now.
Hmm.
And I like what you said about the last act. Because we'll have to see what the last act is of this first season. But I
Right.
think, yeah, I think we're already in it. We're in the final end of this season. And something that they teased really quick, but we didn't really get to talk about too much. It was really fast, but Jack goes to talk to Michael about the raft. And he's like, hey, I just want to let you know because people are talking about it. There's a lot of talk going around about who's going to go on the raft with you.
Mm.
Michael said, he's like, well, it's only room for four. It's him, Walt, and Sawyer. Sawyer bought his way onto the raft by donating like the wire or whatever.
Hmm.
He's like, so I have room for one more. So that's one of those things we haven't talked about in a while, but one of those things of division. We talked
Hmm.
about it a lot earlier because it's like, okay, people are splitting between the beach and the caves. Um, Leadership is still kind of shaky right now. People are kind of like just listening. They don't know who to follow. And then there's the thing with the raft. Okay, well, who gets to, not that who gets to go home, but who gets to try, who gets to leave
Hmm.
the island, you
Hmm.
know? So now that the raft is destroyed, they're trying to build another one. Who knows how that's going to play in? Michael even said he's like, we're going to build a bigger one, a better one. So now will there be more room for just four people?
Hmm.
I think that's something, especially because we talked about like no one's talking about it, but they know rescue's not coming. That's going to be something going into this back end of the season. Who's actually willing to risk their life to leave this island?
Hmm.
Almost like the probability of you dying out on the ocean is a lot higher than dying on the island.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, so far,
So far,
it's
yeah.
been weeks since the monster ate anyone. Who knows? You have the monster
Yeah.
and you have Ethan. He's dead, so who knows?
But there are other people besides Ethan on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Now so not only do we have to contend with giant weird monsters that eat people, we also have weirdos who want to kidnap pregnant ladies.
Mm-hmm. So
So
we don't know anything at this point of who's out there. We know
yeah.
Russo's out there.
Hmm.
We
And
don't know for a,
she's
we don't know for a fact that there's other people out there, but Ethan had to come from somewhere.
hmm
So yeah,
hmm
yeah. I think this is the last chunk of episodes, and we're gonna be diving in. And one thing I can say about Lost that what I personally love, but also what made Lost is they always had really, really cool season finales,
Mm-hmm.
and they always really built to them. And it's kind of rare these days. You're like, oh, okay, we'll see this. Oh, next week we have the final episode of season. Who knows what's going to happen? It's like, all right, cool. But they really, each season is a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that the writers are really trying to drive that home, drive that point home. They're like, our finales are going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to wrap up all our stories and also open up a bunch of new ones so you come back next season. So it's pretty. It's gonna. I'm excited to see, especially because I haven't seen it so long. I'm excited to see how we build to these finales, and then what your overall thoughts are for the season. But I'm really going to be curious about your predictions for season 2, because we're
Okay.
getting to the point now. Like, there's a good chance a lot of story that they're bringing up now won't be resolved,
Right.
because we only have 40-minute episodes and there's only so many left. So speaking of which, let's jump in. What are your predictions? What do we got this week?
Oh boy, man, I don't know. See, I've been feeling weird about like predicting anything for the last few episodes because it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know some things about the future of the show,
Mhm.
um, but there are other things that I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's fine. You don't have to have one for each episode. The
Yeah,
point is, when you do have some or you have a crazy idea, bring it up.
yeah,
But we
yeah.
could put it on hold for this week.
I think I'm gonna put it on hold this week just to yeah. I'm gonna sit on this a little bit more. Maybe next episode
Okay.
I'll have one.
Okay. Well, then, so who's your MVP for this week?
I gotta give it to Jin. Gotta
Yeah,
give it
dude.
to yeah.
Heck yeah.
His name Daniel Day
Daniel
Kim.
Day Kim. Mhm.
Yeah. I gotta give it to him. Even it's weird because I feel like we sort of talked a lot about him in the beginning, and then we just went into other things,
Yeah.
about the episode. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Unless it's like a Jack centric episode or a Kate centric episode, I feel like some of the time that some people's flashbacks, they're kind of like cut by the wayside, or they're like, oh yeah, like this is also here, but now there's this
Yeah.
stuff going on. But I think just where this episode happened to land, it's the back half of the season now,
Mhm.
and things are kind of culminating and coming to a head. And I think right now we don't need to know so much about Jin. We just need to know, one, the things that are focused, that are thematically focused. His relationship with Sun, her father, his father. All those things, and just things that are thematically related. So, and we get to see that. We get to still see that he's just a man who wants to do good by his wife, wants to
Mhm.
do good for their family, and he just gets caught up in these things. And of course, he makes the choice, to stay like that, to stay that way, and to shut himself off so that he
Mhm.
can protect his wife. But yeah, he's lost himself, and I think it's interesting. Now we keep saying things get lost or people have lost themselves, and I kind of chuckle, but that's kind of the point of the show. Every single person on that plane was lost in some facet of their life, and now,
Or at least the survivors. All
yeah,
the people who had their shit together, they died.
oh yeah, totally, uh, yeah. So with with everybody else, it's kind of like we joked at the beginning, like this is just the writer's way of working out some therapy issues,
Mhm.
that they have. It's kind of what it is, but for everybody else in the island, like there's a therapeutic thing that's going on with everybody, where it's like we're slowly becoming maybe the people that we've always wanted to be, or the people we should have been, or maybe in some cases the people we were destined to be, you
Mhm.
know and that doesn't mean that might not mean anything like, oh, grand cosmic level, universe altering
Yeah.
things. But even if it's just on a personal level, how is that not universe altering? How is that not earth
Yeah.
shattering?
It could
So
be
yeah,
as simple as saying you get a second chance.
exactly. And so yeah, so just going back to it, I have to say, like, good job to Daniel Day Kim for just showing this really, like, nuanced performance
Mhm.
with somebody who doesn't they don't have a lot to say. His choices in how he is carrying every scene, every conversation like that.
Mhm.
It's just a testament to like his ability as an actor, I think.
And
And
you couldn't have told this story earlier in the season. Like
yeah,
if they had
exactly.
switched the Jin and Sun episodes, it wouldn't have worked. Like we needed to go 17 episodes or 16 episodes not knowing a dang thing about Jin, because
Mhm.
there is, not that we're afraid of him, but there is this, the unknown, and there is this kind of fear in the unknown of this character. Like, who is this guy? So I'm glad they waited this long to tell his story, because it was more
Exactly.
impactful that way.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
look, I love Sun, I love Yunjin Kim, but I'm gonna have to go and give my MVP this week to Maggie Grace.
Really?
Yeah, she had a very small role this
Okay.
episode, but it was the almost opposite of what Jin's story was. She's getting a second chance and now she wants to take it.
Mhm.
And this, we've slowly seen her grow, but this is the first time we've seen, like, man, this girl's different. She's changed from the first episode,
Mhm.
and I like how she was the one who went back for Saeed at the
Mhm.
end. It
Mhm.
wasn't him going to her to apologize. It was her, because it wasn't her going back to Saeed. It That was symbolic. It was the fact that she was ready to start anew. She even tells him, she's like, this place, she echoes what Locke told her earlier.
Mhm.
This island is a place for second chances, a new life. She's like, I'm ready to start mine. And
Mhm.
it's like, yes, there's a growth, there's a maturity that we have never seen with this character so far. And we just got it in her few scenes this week. And I like it because it's the opposites, man. The black and the white. It's, you have Jin and you have Maggie going in two different story directions as
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really nice. It was a good balance. So I got to give it to her.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's it, man. That's episode 17.
Good
So
job. Good job, us.
next week we're going to talk about season 1, episode 18, Numbers, in which Hurley ventures deeper into the island on a quest.
Real quick.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of which, we didn't even talk about uh we didn't even talk about how when Jin goes over to deliver the message the first time to that guy,
Mm-hmm.
Hurley's on TV.
Mm-hmm. The little girls watch TV and you see Hurley.
You see Hurley and he's like
Mm-hmm.
getting into a car, and I was like, that was Hurley.
What's he doing on
Holy
TV?
shit, what's he doing over? That's
That
yeah.
may or may not be touched on next week. We'll see.
Hmm. We'll
So
see.
also, Walt reveals that up to this point, Hurley owes him $83,000
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah.
backgammon. So
Well,
those might be touched on next week. We'll have to see. But until then, I've been Matt, and you can find me at Twitter _Matt Jimenez.
you can find me on Twitter at Reel. That's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Cool. And until next time, get lost.
Get lost.